Let's talk about another more advanced topic that is becoming a commonly used term not only in photography, but also with new television sets and professional video cameras. Again, if this topic doesn't interest you, feel free to jump ahead to something that does. Let's start with the definition, then break it down. Dynamic range is the ratio between the maximum and minimum measurable light intensities, the blacks and the whites, the darks and the highlights. A low dynamic range photo is one where the entire photo is relatively the same exposure. There aren't many bright spots or dark spots. In other words, it isn't very contrasty. A high dynamic range photo is one with very bright parts and very dark parts. This would be called a high contrast photo. Now, don't get confused by what I'm talking about now with HDR photography. HDR photography, which also stands for high dynamic range, is a technique where you combine photos at multiple exposures of the same scene that results in a photo with good exposure throughout. We'll show you how to do this in the next lesson. Not all cameras are made even when it comes to dynamic range, and it's something you might hear about when comparing different camera models. Some cameras are better than others at capturing very bright and dark exposures in the same photo. This typically has to do with having a better camera sensor. It also has to do with a file type that you're shooting in. Shooting in RAW mode will give you more information in both highlights and dark parts of your photo, while shooting in JPEG mode won't. We explain these file types further in the camera anatomy section. Why is this a good thing? It's good because you have more control of how your image looks. It's also good because there are a lot of situations where you need more dynamic range. Imagine yourself shooting a family photo during the middle of the day at a park with a lot of trees. Some areas of your frame may be in the shade. Others may be super bright. The sky might become completely overexposed compared to your subjects. In this case, having a camera that can capture a high dynamic range is a good thing. Smartphones, point and shoots, and consumer-end DSLR and mirrorless cameras won't be as good at this as the higher-end models. Similar to this idea in photography, it's the same as with buying a new TV. A TV with a high dynamic range will be able to show you more information in the shadows and in the highlights. Watching the same thing on another TV, those highlights and shadows might just appear as purely white or black. Alright, I hope this makes sense to you. If you have any questions, please let us know.